HIJKLMNOP QRSTUV WX, Y and Z. Do you know your ABC of how to tell a story? Tell me more, tell me now. If you don't know, then let me tell you how. Hi, this is Rituparna Ghosh, and you're watching ABC of Storytelling, where every week I share tips, tricks, techniques, and secrets from my story bag. This week we are on the letter P, and I have got quite a few P's from my story bag for you. The first is P for practice, the second is P for patience, and the third is P for performance. Let's begin with P for practice. Well, practice is something which is an absolute given as far as storytelling is concerned. Because if you have to tell stories without any aids, for example, without the help of a book or the story in front of you, you have to practice it over and over and over again till you get better, till your telling skills are more polished and more refined, so that all the awkward pauses are removed and there is no doubt in your head about what happens after it. Practice is also very important for you to know what is the range that you can perform in. Because when you're telling stories, you have to be constantly on your toes. You have to question yourself, you have to poke yourself, you have to prod yourself, to do something more outrageous, to do something so innovative that your audience is watching you, engaging with you, falling in love with the way you're telling stories, and that comes only with practice. A story is something that only gets better with every time you tell it. So the same story, you may get bored of having told it so many times, but maybe you could tell yourself to tell the same story a little differently. I try to do that every single time, and I know there are some stories I have perfected to such an extent that no matter what new thing I do at that point, it is altogether new for me and for my audience, even if they have watched it. So that's the beauty of telling stories. The second is, of course, patience, and that's something that I recommend strongly for parents. If you're telling stories to children, whether you're reading out from a book or you're performing in front of your child and your child is a little distracted, I've seen a lot of parents tend to lose interest, or they say, oh, my child is not interested in stories. Well, I have never ever found a child who's not interested in stories. There is a chance that the child has not been told the story that he or she likes, or the child does not like the storyteller, which in this case is the parent. Well, have patience, go slowly, try little tricks, take your storytelling skills one at a time. So for example, if you are going to just simply modulate your voice in one session, only modulate. The second is, another day you may want to only work with your expressions. So you may try to make some funny faces, use your eyes well. Another day you may want to use your hands very well. Or another day you may want to step out and use your body. So you may want to jump up and jump and hop and skip and tell stories. So therefore, go slow, be patient, try one thing at a time and see what works best for yourself and as for children, and go with that flow. The third P that we have for you is P for performance. Now, P for performance is very important because it comes to only storytellers who want to create a niche for themselves as performance storytellers, which means we are storytellers who go up on the stage and we perform a story like a complete production. So it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of practice, it takes a lot of thinking and design in terms of how we want to really tell that story in front of children. Performance storytellers tend to use their body and their action and their voice. They also tend to use the space. So if you are a performance storyteller who is comfortable standing on a stage, being away from an audience and having the spotlight on you and telling stories, then you have to really work a little bit harder. There are lots of performance storytellers that you can watch online, and they are really doing some great, incredible work. So watch videos, see how they are adapting to their craft, or creating a niche for themselves, creating an identity of themselves as performance storytellers. The idea of performance is something which I also recommend to parents and educators, because no matter where you are as a parent or a teacher, when you are telling stories, it is about creating an identity which is a little different. As a storyteller, you have to go out and perform a story as if you are doing it for an audience and not for your child or not for your classroom. It requires you to go out, forget your inhibitions, keep your those roadblocks in your head, those nagging questions, whether I can do this or not, and giving it all yourself. Sometimes, and this is one thing which I have seen in children, is that they like an adult who is completely open in front of them. Therefore, performance is a good thing. Performance is a good thing even for us as adults to really unravel the hidden blocks that we have inside us. It's a huge cathartic experience. So go ahead and stand up on stage and shout and cry and laugh as if no one is looking at you. And that you will believe, that you will see, the more you do it, you will see, if you're performing from inside, the more you perform from inside, you will see that it has amazing therapeutic or cathartic influence on you. And for someone like me, I look at stories as a vent. I go out and perform stories because that helped me become a better individual. And I believe that it helps me handle a lot of my negative emotions or thoughts that I have inside me if they ever come up. I'm a much more happier person, so therefore performance is actually a good thing. So no matter, even if you're not a performance storyteller, I recommend you stand up and perform as if you're there in that moment, playing that character with so much conviction that your audience can actually enjoy the performance. You're out there to please an audience, so go ahead and do it with a lot of power. I hope you enjoyed the 3 Ps this week, and you're going to be back next week for the next letter. And until then, keep writing to us. Tell us how this series is helping you, whether these tips are good enough at all or not. And remember, we love to hear from you. In fact, if you have videos of your storytelling sessions and you want to, where you've implemented any of these tips, do share them with us. We would like to watch them and give you our feedback if you really require them. At the same time, if you have any questions regarding storytelling, please come back to us and write to us. So until next week, happy storytelling.